about 2,800 years ago. And it's a story that comes out of the Bible. And there was a man of God named Hosea. And he was someone that God spoke to the people of the earth through him. And he lived in the time right when the Assyrian Empire was starting to gain its strength. God tells Hosea, I want you to go out and I want you to find a wife. And so Hosea is a young man. He's thinking, all right, that's a great thing. But then God tells him, I'm going to have you find a wife that is going to be unfaithful to you. To put it bluntly, she's going to run around and chase other men. And so Hosea is told by God to go out and to find this kind of wife. And so he does. But he realizes that this is going to destroy his reputation in the community. That to go out and to find a woman like this is not something that, I made a bad choice and people will forget about it. No, because this is going to be his wife for the rest of his life. But God has told him, so he goes out and he finds Gomer, a young lady who fits the description. It is a bit of a blow to his reputation. People start to snicker. Why does the man of God do this? So they get married, and everything goes okay for a while. In due time, they have a son, and God tells him, name your son Jezreel. Because I remember the massacre that happened in the city of Jezreel, and I will have justice, because God will have justice. In the course of time, there's another child is born, a daughter. And her name meant that some I have rejected, and some I will show favor to. And then they have a third child, a son. And when they have and this one's name is Lo Amin, which just says, I no longer will be your God. So now they have 3 children, and the inevitable happens. The pressure starts to build onto Gomer as she has all of the responsibility of keeping a house, small children, and all of this, and she just can't take it anymore, and she starts to wander off, and she starts to seek a life that doesn't have this long-term commitment. All of these responsibilities and all these pressures. She starts to seek the attention of many other men who are lavishing gifts on her of clothes and of food. And they don't ask her to be there for a long time. It's just as long as she will give them what their hearts desire for that moment. And as she goes deeper into this lifestyle, she soon finds the fact that she has been sold as a slave into the sex trafficking industry. She has wandered into a very dark and terrible place, and yet she has no desire to leave. Meanwhile, back at home is poor Hosea, now a single father to 3 children. He has all the pressures, all of the shame in the community. Everybody knew he'd made a terrible choice. And now they heap this on him and say, look at you, you got what you deserve. And he's feeling the pressure in all of this. And God comes back to him and at this point says, Hosea, I want you to go again. Go find your wife and show her love. And Hosea's, not sure that he wants to do that. He's thinking that would be, if Gomer was to come back, it would be everything. It would actually be beyond what normal humans would do to say, yes, I'll take you back. No, you walked out. You've left me with all these children. You've left me with all this responsibility. You've dumped all of this shame in the community on me. No, I won't take you back. But God tells Hosea, go find her and take her back. Show her love. So Hosea goes, but now this isn't an easy task because where Gomer is, it's that part of town where a man of God should not be. Just to walk those streets is shame on Hosea. And he goes, seeks her out, finds her surrounded by her lovers. And Hosea goes and very timidly says, this is my wife, and I would like her to come home with me. Well, there's snickers all around in the crowd. One man stands up and says, I don't care who you think this woman is. She's my slave. I own her. And at this point, Hosea realizes, I won't just be taking her home. I have to enter into a negotiation for this. And he starts to negotiate, what is this going to cost to take this woman back? He offers 15 shekels of silver because that's all he has. That's all the cash he has, but it's not enough. But he's told to get his wife back, and so he continues to barter. And he barters, starts giving away. He has no more cash, so he starts to barter with barley, the family food. And so he ends up finally settling on a deal to get his wife back for 15 shekels of silver and about 200 pounds of barley from his family's supply of food. He pays and he leads Gomer away. And he takes her off to a quiet place, away from the abyss that she's been with all the evil and all of the hatred and all the just junk that goes on. Takes her to a quiet place where he can speak tenderly to her, to tell her that he still loves her, that he still wants to have a relationship with her, and that he woos her back with tender talk. He tells her, you are to call me your husband, even though he just bought a slave. She should rightfully call him master, but he says, don't call me master, I'm your husband. And he elevates her back to her standard and her old position. And he says, what has happened in the past is in the past. And we are moving forward. And that what I have done, I have redeemed you out of that situation, and you're not to think of that anymore. And so she goes back to his home. As you listen to that story, you can think, well, that was very, very cruel of God to ask Hosea to do that. How can you ask somebody to sacrifice their life like that? To take on all of that pain and suffering? And what God tells Hosea is, I ask you to do that so that you would understand who I am. Because that is exactly the kind of love that I have for all people. That as God created people to be in a relationship with him, and then as we look at this world today and we see that we have all kinds of strife in this world, all kinds of hatred, all kinds of selfishness and jealousy, wars, and we have turned and run away from God, and yet God wanted to show through the life of Hosea that God comes after us in whatever state we are and says, I love you, and I will do anything to be in relationship with you. That Hosea was an example. God was not asking Hosea to do something that he had not already done himself. He simply wanted Hosea to understand how much God loved him and to be able to use his life as an example. So we at Global Friends, we absolutely love you guys. And we love hanging out and spending time, talking, sharing life with you guys. And that is purely an overflow and expression of what God has loved us. And on Valentine's Day, it is a time where a lot of people can express their love for that significant person in their life. And then there's some people that can say it can be a kind of a lonely time. What I hope is that you will leave here knowing that no matter what, at the very baseline, you need to understand that there is a God who absolutely loves you, who pursues you, who will go anywhere to find and to have a relationship with you. The story of Hosea was all about showing in an earthly way that's exactly what God does for you. And so I'm hoping that you had a great time here tonight, that you ate some good food, that you enjoyed the games, got to meet people, found community. But above all else, I hope that you leave here knowing that God loves you and that God is willing to pursue you to the ends of the earth, no matter where it is that you've gone. You know, and one of those things, as you think about this, think about where you were born, and now think about the fact that here you are in Omaha, Nebraska, in the Omar East building, celebrating Valentine's Day with global friends. And you think, that's either a really big coincidence, and that through this experience you heard about God's love. And that's probably because God loves you that much to draw you into a place like this. And so I hope that you have had a wonderful evening, but I hope that you leave here with that sense of like, wow, there is a God who loves me and is willing to do anything for me. If that has happened, then we at Global Friends are thrilled. And so as we close off this evening, there are a few more things that we need to do. One, we need to give the awards out. I saw Rachel running somewhere. Was she off to